inclined plane. That is motion of object on an inclined plane. So we are going to discuss an interesting topic now. Okay. So let us discuss. Yes, so Galileo demonstrated an experiment in order to explain the motion of an object, and Aristotle says that force is causing the motion. So for an object to move, force is responsible, he said. But Galileo said that, okay, force is not required for maintaining the motion of the object. Okay, what is Aristotle's view on motion? Aristotle says that force causes motion. So an object can move only when it is subjected to a force. So only when we apply a force, object can move. This is Aristotle's view on motion of object. But what Galileo says, Galileo is saying that force is not required, okay, for the object to, okay, move, okay, so or maintain the motion, okay, so force is not required. This is Galileo's view, and he is proving his assumption with the help of an inclined plane experiment. Okay, so he has done an experiment, so that is inclined plane experiment. Okay, so now see, this is an inclined plane. So what do you mean by inclined plane? A slopy surface. So this is a slopy surface, this is another slopy surface. So this is called an inclined plane. So Galileo has done an experiment in order to prove his assumptions. Okay, so what did he do? Let us see now how he has done an experiment. Okay, so he has taken a ball and an inclined plane. Okay, now when the ball was rolled down in the first inclined plane, so this is the first inclined plane and this is the second inclined plane. So he has taken two inclined planes. Okay, now the ball was rolled down. Now let us take, this is the horizontal surface of the that is table. Okay, now so this is the height of the first inclined plane and this is the height of the second inclined plane. Okay, now so when the ball is rolling down, so the ball is exactly at this height now. Here is the ball. Ball is exactly at this height from the ground, from the surface of the, okay, table. Okay, so let us take this height as h, or we can take it by number so that you can easily understand. This height is, I am taking it as 1 meter. Say for example, let us take, it is 1 meter. Okay, now so the height of the first inclined plane from the surface of the table is taken as 1 meter. Got it? Now, so he is rolling down the ball. So when the ball rolls down, when the ball comes down, so the ball is coming down here. When the ball comes down, what happens? The velocity of the ball increases. He found that the velocity of the ball increases. When the ball is coming down, the velocity of the ball started increasing. Okay, now, so what happens after reaching this position? The ball after reaching this position, okay, not, okay, so the ball was not at that same position where it has fell down, okay, from the what? So inclined plane. Okay, so the ball after reaching this position, it won't be staying in the same position. What happens to the ball then? The ball climbs up. So the ball is climbing up the second inclined plane. Up to what height? The ball is reaching the same height, that is, what height we kept here? 1 meter. The same height 1 meter. Up to the same height 1 meter, it is climbing up. Yes, clear? Now, so he has taken two inclined planes. Galileo has taken two inclined planes. So he kept at certain angle. Now, when the ball is rolling down from the first inclined plane, the velocity of the ball starts increasing. Okay, so now what can you say about the height? So here we have taken the height of the inclined plane as 1 meter. After reaching the plane surface, that is a table, okay, do you think the ball will stay in the same place after reaching the ground? No. So the ball, after reaching this horizontal surface, that is a table, okay, it won't stay there. So what happens? The ball started climbing up in the next inclined plane. Okay, up to what height it will climb up? So it is climbing up at the same height. So from the surface of the, okay, that is table, if this ball was at a height of 1 meter, then even after reaching here, the ball would have, that is, it will be at a height of 1 meter from the ground level. That is, up to the same height, the ball will reach here. And up to the same distance, if this distance, okay, say for example, if this distance is, okay, say for example, 10 centimeter, then this distance will also be equal to 10 centimeter, will be equal. Okay, so what are the things are equal? Height from the surface of the table is equal, the ball height. So ball height from the surface of the table is equal. From here, from the surface of the table, after reaching the second inclined plane, height of the ball is same. And distance covered in the first inclined plane and the distance covered in the second inclined plane is the same. When this is happening, when the angle of inclination, say for example, let us take this as 30 degree. So the first inclined plane makes an angle of 30 degree with the horizontal. The same way, the second inclined plane is also making an angle of 30 degree with the horizontal. Clear? Okay, what is inclined plane experiment? So Galileo did an inclined plane experiment in order to explain the motion of an object. This is the one of the best scientific, okay, so that is the advancement or the scientific invention given to the world by the scientist Galileo. Okay, so he has analyzed the laws of motion of the object with the help of an inclined plane. Is clear? Now, so he has taken a first inclined plane and he kept second inclined plane at certain angle with the horizontal. So initially both the inclined planes are inclined at an angle of 30 degrees, same angle, that is, both the inclined planes are at same angle of inclination from the ground level. So this is also 30 degree, this is also 30 degree. Now when the ball is rolling down in the first inclined plane, it moves with, that is, its velocity increases, it moves with greater velocity. So you know that when the ball comes down, velocity increases. So it comes with the greater velocity. So we could think that after reaching the horizontal surface, that is a table, the ball may stop over there. But it is not so. The ball has not stopped there. Instead, the ball started, okay, climbing up in the second inclined plane. Clear? Okay, up to what distance? Up to the same distance. If the what distance it has covered from top to reach bottom of the first inclined plane. It has covered the same distance from bottom to top to reach from bottom to top of second inclined plane. The distance covered by the ball is the same. Okay, height of the ball from the surface of the table, first inclined plane height and second inclined plane height is the same. Both the inclined planes are at same height, that is ball reaching height is the same. Okay, then angle of inclination of the first inclined plane and second inclined plane is the same, that is 30 degree. There is no change. Then what else is changing? The only factor which changes is velocity. Is clear? So the velocity of the ball when it rolls down increases, whereas the velocity of the second ball, okay, so decreases when it climbs up, okay, in the second inclined plane. Yes, now suppose, so this is first experiment he has done. Okay, next what he has done, he has not changed the, okay, angle of inclination of first inclined plane. Angle of inclination of first inclined plane was kept same. Okay, that is before we kept 30 degree. So the angle of inclination was now even kept as 30 degree only, there is no change. Okay, but he has reduced the angle of inclination of second inclined plane. Okay, so the second inclined plane angle of inclination was reduced. So from 30 degree to, say for example, 25 degree. Okay, he has reduced the second inclined plane angle of inclination as 25 degree. So he has taken this angle as 25 degree. Clear? Got it? Okay. Now, so the first inclined plane angle of inclination, there is no change. The same 30 degree. The second inclined plane angle of inclination is reduced to 25 degree from 30 degree. Now what happens? Okay. Now the ball rolls down. Okay. So velocity as usual increases, and the ball after reaching here, don't stop here, and it moves up. The ball moves up. Okay. Till what distance it will move? It moves greater distance because it is flattened. Okay. So this inclined plane, okay, is the angle is reduced. Therefore, it is moving towards the, okay, surface. Okay. So flattened. Okay. So now what happens? In order to, okay, raise, in order to reach the same height from the ground level. So before we have taken the height of the first ball from the ground level as 1 meter we have taken. Say for example, okay, now the ball should, okay, reach the same height. So now also the ball is reaching the same height as before. Same height as before. In order to reach the same here, in order to have an attempt of reaching the same height, it has to travel an extra distance in the second inclined plane. Clear or not? So now the inclined plane angle is reduced. Okay, second step what we are doing? We are reducing the angle of inclination of the second inclined plane. So when the angle of inclination of second inclined plane is reduced, what happens? This board, this inclined plane, okay, moves down. So before it was like this. Now it is moving down. Okay. Now it is a bit flattened than before. Before it was steeper. Now it is a bit flattened. Okay. Now what happens? The ball rolls down with the same velocity, that is increasing velocity, and the ball moves up. When it moves up in the second inclined plane, velocity decreases. Okay. But what is the difference? Since we have reduced the angle of inclination, okay, the condition is that ball must be at the same height in the second inclined plane. Here 1 meter height. So here also the ball must be at 1 meter height. The same height in order to, okay, have an attempt to reach the same height. In order to attain the same height, the ball has to travel an extra distance. Okay, so this distance is lesser, whereas this distance is more. In order to attain the same height, the ball has to travel an extra distance. The ball is traveling an extra distance in order to attain the same height. Clear? Okay, so in the second inclined plane, the ball is traveling extra distance to reach the same height. Yes, what happens? So initially the ball, the inclined plane was at 30 degree, and here also the angle of inclination was kept 30 degree. Okay, at that time the distance covered by the ball in the first inclined plane, that is D1, let us take it as D1, and the distance covered by the ball in the second inclined plane are equal in the first case when the angle of inclination was equal. Now, in the second case, angle of inclination is reduced. When we reduce the angle of inclination, what happens? Okay, so the ball which is rolled down reaches the surface and climbing up the second inclined plane and traveling a greater distance in the second inclined plane. In the first case, distance was the same. D1 was equal to D2. In the second case, it travels a greater distance. That means D1 is not equal to D2. In this case, D2 is greater than D1. So in the second inclined plane, it travels a greater distance in order to attain the same height. But height must be the same. Okay. So the ball is at 1 meter height from ground level. So in order to make an attempt to reach the same height, Okay, what happens? The ball, okay, covers an extra distance in the second inclined plane. Clear? Yes, clear? Now, again, so when the, okay, so what happens when the angle of inclination of the second inclined plane is further reduced? We are reducing the angle of inclination of the second inclined plane. So, when you reduce the angle of inclination of the second inclined plane further, so how to reduce? So, if you reduce like this, so this is the first inclined plane, the second inclined plane is reduced like this. Okay, so this is as usual. The angle of inclination, no change, 30 degree. Here angle of inclination is further reduced. So, when you reduce to say for example 15 degree, angle of inclination of the second inclined plane is further reduced 15 degree. Now, what happens? So, ball is rolling down. We are making the ball roll down. So, the ball moves with increasing velocity, and after reaching here, the ball as usual moves up in the second inclined plane, greater a longer distance. Okay, now if the ball's height cannot be attained here, if the ball's height cannot be attained in the second inclined plane, that means the second inclined plane height is less, okay, and the ball has to reach greater height than the second inclined plane. Okay, this is the second inclined plane. The second inclined plane height விட the ball ஓட height அதிகமாச்சுன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க. இந்த height, இந்த height வந்து the second inclined plane flatten ஆயிடுச்சு, இப்படி ஆயிடுச்சு. இந்த height வந்து கம்மி. Okay, so இப்போ இந்த height விட கம்மியாச்சுன்னா என்ன ஆகும்? The ball, okay, will fall down tracing the parabolic path. Okay, so the ball after the reaching this end will trace the parabolic path and falls down. Clear? So what is happening? First, when the angle of case 1, first case is when the angle of inclination same, height same. Okay, now the distance covered by the ball in the first inclined plane equal to distance covered by the ball in the second inclined plane. Height is same, angle of inclination is same. Yes, velocity alone different. Now, second case. What is second case? Second case is angle of inclination is reduced. When the angle of inclination is reduced, the ball, okay, moves with the same velocity, that is increasing velocity in the first inclined plane, and climb up in the second inclined plane, but the ball in the second inclined plane covers greater distance. Distance is more, but height is same. So, distance is more, height is same. Okay, so in order to attain the same height, the ball moves a greater distance in the second inclined plane. Third case, when the angle of inclination is further reduced, now the ball could not reach the height here because the ball's height is exceeding the inclined plane's height. So, inclined plane is here, but ball must reach here. Okay, so if the ball's height, the ball's reachable height is greater than the inclined plane's height, then what will happen? The ball will jump and trace a parabolic path and falls down. Clear? Yes? Now further we are reducing the angle of inclination. When we further reduce the angle of inclination and the second inclined plane becomes flat. Okay, so when the second inclined plane, this is first inclined plane. So, this is the first inclined plane and second inclined plane becomes flat like this. So, exactly flat, flattened, okay, kept on the surface. Okay, when the second inclined plane is flattened, what happens? The ball rolls down from here, okay, and after reaching the ground, the ball will move, okay, infinitely to an infinite distance without stoppage. The ball will never stop. Okay, the ball will continuously move, okay, in the surface, provided if the surface is smooth. So, we must have maximum smoothness. Okay, the surface should be very, very smooth. So, the ball will continuously move on the smooth floor without any stoppage. Okay, the ball will never stop. So, it will stop only at infinity. We don't know where is infinity. Okay, so it moves till infinity without any stop. So, this is the experiment done by Galileo. Okay, and So what is Aristotle's view for this and what is Galileo's explanation for this? Aristotle says that after the ball is reaching this place, what Aristotle says, after reaching this place, okay, the ball is moving in the second inclined plane because, okay, so the ball is rolling down after reaching this position. Okay, what happens? The ball cannot move. The ball will stop here after moving a certain distance or a little bit distance. Okay, because the ball is not acted upon by force. Okay, the ball is not acted upon by force. The ball stops here. Okay, according to Aristotle, what Aristotle view is force is causing the motion. Force causes motion. So if the body has to move further, the force must be applied. That is Aristotle's view. But what Galileo is saying, when the surface is very smooth, perfectly smooth, when the surface is not rough, say for example, if the surface is rough, second inclined plane surface is rough, what will happen? The ball will not reach the same height. So far we are discussing that. So what is the height of the first ball in first inclined plane? The same height the ball will reach when the surface is smooth. When the surface is not smooth and rough, then what will happen? The height of this ball will be less. This is, okay, Galileo's assumption. Okay, Galileo says that if there is a friction on the surface, then the ball will not reach the same height, the height will be reduced. Okay, so for the ball to move, force is not necessary, okay, if there is no friction. Who says? Galileo. Okay, so which is responsible for the stopping of the ball? Which is stopping the ball? The ball is stopped due to friction offered by the surface. It is not due to force, okay, as Aristotle thinks. So Aristotle, what he says, after reaching down, okay, the ball has no force. Okay, so the ball is not moving, he says. But what Galileo says, if the ball after reaching this position, okay, if it is acted upon by force, then the ball would not have raised in the second inclined plane. The ball is raising in the second inclined plane. Okay, so for the ball to raise in the second inclined plane, force is not at all needed. He says surface must be smooth. That is enough. That is, no friction should be there on the surface. That is his assumption. Yes, clear? So what Galileo says? So if the surface is smooth and if there is no opposition in the surface, then the ball will move, okay, till end, that is till the infinite distance. So when the surface is flattened, what happens? It moves, the ball moves infinitely to the infinite distance. Okay, because the surface is made smooth. So if the surface is smooth, if there is no frictional force, as long as there is no frictional force, the ball will move continuously. This is Galileo's assumption. So what finally Galileo concludes, for the motion of the object, force is not at all necessary. Okay, if there is no friction. Okay, if the surface is smooth and if the surface is highly polished, okay, there is no force must be given to the object to move on a surface. This is Galileo's assumption, Galileo's argument. Yes, clear? Now listen. So let us discuss again. Galileo demonstrated his experiment using his own idea. When a ball was rolled from the top of an inclined plane to its bottom, after reaching the ground, it moves a distance and continues to move on another inclined plane of same angle of inclination. So when the ball is rolling down from an inclined plane, after reaching the ground, it is, okay, climbing up in the another inclined plane of same angle of inclination. If the angle of inclination is 30 degrees same, it is climbing up in the another inclined plane. By increasing the smoothness of both the inclined planes, what happens? The ball reach almost the same height. Okay, so if the surface is smooth, ball is reaching almost the same height from where it was dropped in first inclined plane. So what Galileo says? So the first thing is, when the ball is rolled down in the first inclined plane, after reaching the horizontal surface, it continues to move on the second inclined plane. Okay, if the angle of inclination is same. Okay, and second thing, what he is saying, the ball in the second inclined plane almost reaches the same height. Both the balls will be at same height from the surface of the table. Okay, so both the balls will be at same height when, okay, when there is no, okay, that is refraction, that is smoothness. When the smoothness increases, when there is no friction on the surface. Clear? So this is his assumption. Then motion of the ball, okay, is then observed by varying the angle of inclination. He just varied the angle of inclination and the smoothness of the surface. Okay, smoothness of the surface he kept the same. Okay, already it is polished. Both are highly smooth and maximum smoothness. Okay, so again he did the experiment for varying the angle of inclination. What happens if the angle is reduced? The ball travels a longer distance in the second inclined plane to reach the same height. Okay, so when the angle of third one, when the angle of inclination is made 0, what happens? The ball moves forever in the horizontal direction. Forever, that means infinity. Okay, it goes to infinity. Ball moves continuously, okay, on the horizontal surface, provided high smoothness of the surface. The surface should be highly smooth. Okay, so an object can be in motion even without forces acting on it. So from the experiment, Galileo concludes that so object can move on the horizontal surface. So the rolling ball, okay, would have stopped if there is, okay, so if it needs a force to move. According to Aristotle, the rolling ball after reaching the ground, okay, so will move only if the force is applied, according to Aristotle view. Okay, but the ball is rolling down and reaching the infinite distance. Okay, so if it reaches the infinite distance after rolling down, what happens? It doesn't need force at all. So force we have not applied at all. So once we have dropped, that's all. Okay, so once we have rolled down, that's all. So with that force, it cannot move till infinity. Okay, so according to Aristotle, force is needed for the motion. But after reaching the ground, okay, no force is applied. Even then the ball is moving. So Galileo says force is not necessary for maintaining the motion. So provided if the surface is smooth. Only thing we have to maintain is the surface should be perfectly smooth. Okay, so since the surface is smooth, so the ball is moving to infinity. That is what Galileo is saying. So from this experiment, Galileo proved that force is not required for maintaining the motion. In order to maintain the motion, force is not at all required. An object can be in motion even without force acting on it, provided the surface must be smooth. Is it clear? Okay, so Aristotle view is proved wrong by the Galileo after doing his inclined plane experiment. Yes, clear? Now, so that's all about Galileo's experiment. Okay, and Aristotle's view and Galileo's experiment on motion. So finally, Galileo's motion was proved correct compared to the Aristotle's view. Okay, so Aristotle's view is made wrong by Galileo. Yes, clear? Now, so what Galileo says, Aristotle couples the force and motion. So he is joining the force and motion. That is, only when there is a force, motion is possible, he says, Aristotle says. So Aristotle couples the force and motion, whereas Galileo decouples the force and motion. That means for motion, force is not necessary. He decoupling, that is, force and motion are not coupled. Force and motion are not, okay, joined one. Okay, so if the force is applied, okay, the motion is there, and if the force is removed, motion is not there. It is not that case. Okay, so force and motion are decoupled by Galileo, but Aristotle, force and motion was coupled. Yes, clear? Okay, so for motion, force is needed, he says. For motion, force is not necessary, Galileo says. That's all. Yes, clear? So now, next one is the Galileo's experiment over. Hope all would have understood. Okay, all would have got my point, I think. Now, Newton's laws. Okay, so after making the great analysis of Newton's laws of motion, the scientist, that is Galileo's laws of motion, Newton, okay, and then Kepler and Copernicus, okay, all analyzed the motion of the object. Okay, so and finally Newton gave empirical laws. So 3 laws. which is called Newton's laws of motion. So after doing analysis of Galileo's motion, so who analyzed? So Galileo's motion was reanalyzed by Newton and John Kepler and then Copernicus, Nicholas Copernicus. All those scientists did the analysis on so Galileo's motion of object, and finally Newton gave 3 laws of motion. So that is called Newton's laws of motion. So Newton gave 3 empirical laws. So those laws are called Newton's laws of motion. Okay, now we are going to discuss Newton's laws. So Newton's first law first. Okay, so every object continues to be in state of rest or of uniform motion unless there is an external force acting on it. This is Newton's first law. Every object continues to be in the state of rest. So here I am keeping a book. Okay, so the book will be here. The book will never move. Okay, till I come tomorrow here and take the book and keep it somewhere. Yes, so every object continues to be in the state of rest. Or if a fan is rotating, even after switching off the fan will continue to move for a certain interval of time. So the fan doesn't want to come to rest. So it will be in continuous motion. Okay, so every object continues to be in state of rest, or in state of motion unless there is an external force acting on it. So if we keep the book and keep it somewhere, take the book and keep it somewhere, that is an external force. We are applying a force, we are doing work done to take the book and keep it somewhere. So we are applying a force on the book, only then the book changes its position. The same way, after some time, so due to air resistance, the fan stops. Okay, so only because of air resistance the fan is stopping after some time. It is not coming to rest immediately after turning off the switch. Yes, clear? So every object continues to be in the same state of rest or of uniform motion unless there is an external forces acting on it. So this is called Newton's first law. Yes, every object continues to be in state of rest or of uniform motion unless there is an external force acting on it. So this is called Newton's first law of motion. Okay, now, so Newton analyzed the Galileo's view and he has again gave the law, Newton's first law, and Newton's first law again says law of inertia. That is, what is Newton's first law? Newton's first law explains the law of inertia. So what do you mean by inertia? Inertia, the word inertia means, it means resistance to change. So what do you mean by the word inertia? Inertia means resistance to change. That means if the object is at rest, the object doesn't want to change the rest position. Okay, even if you apply some force, it will initially resist. Okay, so in a big stone, if you apply a force, the stone will never move. Okay, so you are applying force, even then the stone is not moving. So the stone is offering resistance. Okay, நான் மூவ் பண்ண மாட்டேன் இந்த இடத்த விட்டு அப்படின்னு உட்கார்ந்துருக்காரு. அதுக்கு பேரானது இனர்ஷியா. ஓகே, அப்போ ஒரு ஆப்ஜெக்ட் மூவ் ஆகிட்டு இருக்க ஆப்ஜெக்டை திடீர்னு போய் நீ ஸ்டாப் பண்ணனா ஸ்டாப் ஆகாது. ஓகே, அது பாட்டு கண்டினியூஸ் மூவ் ஆகிட்டு இருக்கும். சே ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் ரன்னிங் அத்லெட் வந்து ஈவன் ஆஃப்டர் ரீச்சிங் தி தட் இஸ் டெஸ்டினேஷன் தே வில் ஸ்டில் ஃபர்தர் ரன். Have you noticed? So even after reaching the destination point, and they will run still more. Okay, the person who is getting down from the running bus will run, otherwise they will fall down. Yes, clear? So they are not able to change the state of motion immediately. Okay, they are not able to change the state of rest immediately. So the rest position of the object or moving condition of the object cannot be changed immediately. So the body will resist. நான் சேஞ்ச் ஆக மாட்டேன், நான் ரெஸ்ட்ல தான் இருப்பேன், மூவிங் கண்டிஷனில் தான் இருப்பேன் அப்படின்னு இந்த பாடி வந்து மூவ் ஆகாது. அந்த ப்ராப்பர்ட்டிக்கு பேர் தான் இனர்ஷியான்னு பேர். ஸோ வாட் யூ மீன் பை இனர்ஷியா? inability of the object to change its state of rest or of uniform motion. Okay, so that property of the body is called inertia. So or we can say inertia is nothing but resistance to change its state. Yes, so this is called first law. So what is first law? Okay, the first law states that the body cannot move unless the body cannot change its state of rest or of uniform motion unless it is acted upon by some external force. So that is called, okay, first law. First law is insisting on inertia. Yes, now, so what inertia has got three types. So first one is inertia of rest and inertia of motion and inertia of direction. There are three types of inertia. One is inertia of rest and inertia of motion and inertia of direction. Okay, what do you mean by inertia of rest? When the bus which is at rest, that is stationary bus, when the bus which is at rest starts moving, okay, bus which is at rest, initially at rest, and the passenger inside the bus also will be at rest. Okay, so what do you mean by inertia? எல்லாரும் இப்போ வந்து ரெஸ்ட்டில் இருக்காங்க, அந்த ரெஸ்ட் கண்டிஷனை யாருமே சேஞ்ச் பண்ணிக்க விரும்ப மாட்டாங்க, உட்காந்துட்டே தான் இருப்பாங்க. சரியா? இப்போ பஸ்ஸு சடனாக மூவ் ஆக ஆரம்பிக்கும் போது எங்கே உட்காந்துருந்தாங்க, இப்படி உட்காந்துருந்தாங்க, பஸ்ஸு ஃபார்வர்டில் மூவ் ஆகுது, அவங்க வந்து சேஞ்ச் ஆக விரும்பலை, அதனால தே வில் மூவ் பேக்வர்ட். Okay, they will bend backward. Even if the bus moves forward, they will bend backward. Clear? Okay, so inability of the body to change state of rest before they were rest. Okay, now the bus started moving. When the bus started moving in the forward direction, bus is in motion, but we don't want to change our position. Okay, so we move backward. எந்த பொசிஷனில் இருந்தோமோ அந்த பொசிஷனுக்கு போகிறோம். பேக்கில் இருந்தோம், ஸோ பேக்கில் வந்து we are moving. Yes, clear? So this is called inability of the body to change its state of rest on its own. So what do you mean by inertia of rest? How will you define inertia of rest? Inertia of rest is defined as inability of a body to change its state of rest on its own. Aduva, okay, on its own, okay, is called inertia of rest. Okay, so when the passenger is sitting in the bus, when the bus suddenly starts, okay, moving, then the passenger move backward because they don't want to change their rest condition. They want to be in the old condition. But buses moved forward. So they don't want to go forward. They want to be in the same position. So the inability of a body to change its state of rest on its own is called inertia of rest. Is clear? So this is the definition of inertia of rest. Best example, world's best example for inertia of rest. Listen now. So this there is a dust. Okay, so full of dust, a person from certain height is falling down. So even if the, okay, so net is moving down, the dust particle will remain same in the same position. See, you could see the dust particle is not at all moving. It doesn't want to change its rest condition immediately to moving condition. See, even after the net is moving down, okay, pulled down, okay, the dust particle on the net is not moving along with the net, whereas it stands in the same position. It's a best, world's best example for first law, that is inertia of rest. Clear? Okay, so now when the person is falling down on the net, okay, so even after the net is pulled down, okay, changing its state, but the dust particle doesn't move from its position. So it is in the same position because inertia of rest. So it doesn't want to change its rest position immediately. Clear? So this is called inertia of rest. Yes, clear? So what is inertia of rest? Inability of a body to change its state of rest. Okay, so is called on its own, is called inertia of rest. So see now, so first, so the patient is inside a car, and even after the car is moving, okay, the patient is falling down because the patient doesn't want to change its state of rest condition. Okay, so they want to come to the original position. So sudden takeoff of the vehicle makes it fall down. So don't want to change the rest condition. See here, okay, so take a cup and keep a flat plate or anything over the cup and keep some, okay, so ball on the cup. Okay, what happens when you disturb the cup? Okay, so then that is a top layer of the cup. Okay, that is plate of the cup. Then what happens? The ball alone falls inside. The ball is moving inside, falling inside. But the ball is not toppled out. The ball is not moving out of the cup. So it is falling inside. See, can you see? So this is called inertia of rest. Okay, because the ball doesn't want to change its position. Even so, in the carom board coin, if you keep the carom coin one above the other, okay, and if you strike the lowest piece alone by the striker, the lowest piece reaches the pocket, whereas other pieces, okay, carom coins will remain same. it will not be disturbed. The lowest piece alone will move to the packet. So that is called inertia of rest. So lowest piece on which we are applying force, that piece alone moves. The other pieces are in the same position. So this is also the same example. So the inability of the body to change its state of rest or of uniform motion or the direction, okay, on its own is called inertia. So inertia is divided into three kinds. One is inertia of rest, inertia of motion, and inertia of direction. So we have discussed up to inertia of rest. So in the next class, so we'll discuss again inertia of motion and direction. Okay. So Savitri is signing off. Hope you all would have understood. So if you like this video, please like, share, view and subscribe. Yes. Thank you, students.